And welcome into Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement with Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns, CFP, founder at TJ Stearns, Inc., conveniently located in Arlington Heights, accessible to proactive Chicagoland area savers and investors. And Tim, you help them turn the corner and make it into and through retirement. Once we leave the paycheck behind, it's not that we don't need an income, it's that we don't have an income, and we've got to take the assets and structure them in a way to replace that income in as confident and consistent a way as possible.
Well, it's definitely like almost an emotional moment for these people who have saved their whole lives to go from being a saver to being a spender. And, you know, the only thing that they're going to have is, let's say, growth in their portfolio is the market going up. And, you know, the market's been very volatile this year. So that's a hard thing to come by. So how do you do that? Well, we back it all into an income allocation plan. That's what it's really all about. You know, how do you comfortably go into being a spender and know you have enough for 30 plus years?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are very excited, rightfully so, about retirement. But when you start to mention all of the things that come along with it, I mean, taxation, market volatility and fluctuation, inflation, healthcare, all of those things make it a nervous time and a more difficult transition than a lot of people imagine.
I think, you know, as I see these baby boomers aging into retirement, you know, they're looking for a silver bullet, and really what you need is a Swiss Army knife, right? You need to talk about your portfolio, the risk, when are you going to take Social Security? When are you not going to take Social Security? You know, what's Medicare all about? I see that people are very frustrated and they're a little scared, and, you know, they're above and beyond the what do I do for retirement Google search. You know, they need someone to help them kind of be a shepherd through this thing.
Yeah, well, there are uncertain times in the world around us, and then all of those factors lead to our own financial uncertainty, and things begin to tighten up a little bit. We get a little bit more restrictive with our spending, not doing all of the things that we envisioned retirement to be about. That's not what we want, and you can address many of those factors in a true written retirement income plan, ladies and gentlemen. Tim Stearns, CFP, calls it the Protect and Grow Written Retirement Income Plan. If you would like to get that put together, you are always welcome to pick up the phone, give Tim Stearns, CFP, TJ Stearns, Inc. a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. And Tim, where there is income, there are taxes. And you've made this fantastic online tool, the Retirement Tax Calculator, available to folks at MVPCFP.com. At the very least, you encourage people to visit MVPCFP.com and crunch their retirement tax bill calculator numbers.
Well, we had class last week, and I said to the audience, you know, we pack them in for these things because I think a lot of people are thirsty for information. But anyways, I said, when you go to buy your car, do you know how much taxes are in there? And everyone's shaking their head, yes. I'm like, do you know how much your car is going to cost? Of course. Do you know how much your retirement's going to cost? Blank stares. And I ask, how much are you going to be paying in taxes? Blank stares. So why would I want someone to go onto that website? Let's see what the price point is for your taxes. You know, how much of that money that you're retiring with is truly yours, and how much of it, unfortunately, might go to the IRS if you don't do certain things. So what I would tell people is go to www.mvpcfp.com, take a look there. You'll find that the information is really easy to understand, and you can see kind of what the price tag is. And then you can also see, wow, maybe I should be doing something about this.
When you defer your taxes, you are de facto, by default, also deferring to the IRS's plan for your dollars, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what this retirement tax bill calculator really points out. If you continue on that path, here's your likely tax bill, versus if you are a bit more proactive and want to manage those tax bills, then here's what you could potentially get the bill down to. Now, it's informational only. You don't want to act on this information without the help of an assistance of an experienced qualified professional. But Tim Stearns, CFP, is that resource if you look at those numbers and would like to find out a little bit more about how now do I act to make sure that I am managing this tax liability. And by the way, Tim, it has not been a mistake for the previous generation, for the now retiring generation, to have deferred and delayed paying taxes on a bulk of their retirement nest egg. It's just that now is the key opportune moment, the window of opportunity to manage those taxes. And we may not want to continue with the deferral that has benefited us to this point.
That's correct. And, there's one thing I think many people don't understand, that the end of 2025 is when the old tax rates come back. They're going to expire. The current tax bill, the Trump tax bill, we call it. So when that expires, the taxes are going to reset to what they used to be. You'll go probably back to itemizing, that type of thing. Do I think in the near future that Congress can get their heads together and do a tax bill? Not at all, especially not in an election year. So I know what taxes are this year. So why wouldn't it make sense for me to at least explore a Roth conversion? Taxes are the lowest they've been in 40 years. So why not, go through the exercise? And if your advisor doesn't help you do that, we'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, and we had an interview with Becky Swansburg from Stonewood Financial, who is a Capitol Hill insider and kind of a self-proclaimed tax geek, if there ever was one. And that's no downplay on her. She has self-proclaimed that. But it was an interesting stat, Tim, that she said taxes would actually need to increase about 30% even to get back to historical average tax levels from where they are today. And certainly, we see that as being the language and potentially even on the way with those tax laws that expire in just a couple years.
Well, I mean, it begs the question then, should I be doing a Roth 401k? Should I be doing a Roth, conversion this year? 2025 gives me yet another opportunity for that. And then we revisit, and we see where taxes are at. But with our clients, we're definitely talking to them about Roth conversions and trying to find a different way. There's also things out there that we can do to take their required minimum distributions, maybe put it into a life insurance plan that has long-term care components to it. Those are the things that we're seeing out there that I don't think a lot of people are understanding. You don't just have to take the hit, right? You can actually get and do things that are going to help you, to prolong your money away from them.
Again, the website mvpcfp.com for the retirement tax bill calculator tool, mvpcfp.com. And if you would like to sit down and structure and design your written income allocation plan for retirement, the Protect and Grow written retirement income plan, pick up the phone and give Tim Stearns, CFP, and TJ Stearns Inc. a call at 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. So Tim, we prefaced that this episode was about income and generating income in retirement. We dovetailed and went down the rabbit hole of when there is income, there is taxation. But backing up a little bit, let's focus on that income. What exactly is an income allocation, and how is it different than what we have traditionally experienced during our investment career and progress?
Well, again, you're going from being a saver to a spender, right? So this would entail getting a budget together and figuring out kind of what your retirement looks like. We have a great handout that says literally on the top, are you ready to retire? Anyway, back to what we were asking here. We're trying to get a budget together. We want to look at what our guaranteed sources are, your Social Security, your pensions, that type of thing. One, you're going to be pulling down on those. And then the next step would be, oh my, I have a gap to, paying my bills or, whatever I want to do out there in retirement. How am I going to get that done? And that includes, making a plan that we figure out how much can your portfolio throw off in income, that's either guaranteed or darn close to it. The last thing you want to do is run out of money in retirement and figure out at age 80 that you guessed wrong. I think a lot of people, when they're retiring, they think they got it under control, or they don't even want to address it. And then at the end of the day, they're just kind of winging it. And that's a little scary to me.
Is that moment at 80 or 85 or whenever it is that the reason why having the income allocation plan is so important?
Absolutely. You want peace of mind, you got to have a plan. We talk, you would never build a house without, a blueprint. Well, what does your blueprint to retirement look like? And what does that look like to you so that your wife or spouse is on board to understand exactly what's going on? It's so important that people understand that they're going to go through a 30-year retirement. My parents have been retired for 30 years. My mom, is still alive, thank God. But I mean, we need to make sure that we can get our retirements to last that long.
Yeah. And I say that because the first few years of retirement, we probably could spend money pretty freely and not worry about it too much if we were only going to have a few years of
Right.
retirement. But today's retirement, Tim, is decades long.
Right.
And if we don't have a plan, if we don't have some guardrails, if we don't have that blueprint in the first few years, it's not the first few years that we wouldn't get to enjoy, but it's our financial security and the enjoyment of subsequent years and decades thereafter that we're putting in jeopardy.
Right. And I mean, think about this. When Social Security first came out, the average retirement was about 5 years, right? So you wonder why they're having their issues paying their bills, Social Security, that is. Well, that makes sure that you being a saver, that you have an actual blueprint to map out where you're going in this retirement, which can have, peaks and valleys. You could have health scares and that type of thing. You could want to do that trip that you've always wanted to do. There's a lot of different goals that go into that, and we help people, attain that.
It's maybe a side here, Tim, but it also may be that they spent the Social Security money on other line items and expenditures, because I think if the money they collected from Social Security had actually been held in trust and invested, they probably would be just fine. But like much of everything else, government not terribly fiscally responsible, it seems like, with the funds that we have entrusted them and allocated to them to be responsible with. So therefore, we've got to come up with ways to ensure our own financial security, and that is through having that written income allocation plan. Tim, how does it work? How does that income allocation differ from the asset allocation and the investment model? And then what's kind of the behind the scenes secret ingredients?
Well, we're seeing a lot of people come in here and they might have an illustration that another advisor did for them that's guessing that the market is going to do 8% forever every year that they're retired. I've seen it as low as 6%, but most of them are pretty high. And the market the last 24 years has averaged maybe around 5%. If you're looking at the S&P 500. So that's not like to me, a real retirement plan. What we do with income allocations, we get down to brass tacks, figure out a budget, figure out what their guaranteed sources are, and then we need to fill that, whether that's with an annuity or a dividend paying fund that we have that is going to throw off income, but we need guarantees. And so a lot of times we'll use annuities. And I'm seeing many baby boomers who've heard all these bad things about annuities coming to our side saying, hey, you know what? I need a guarantee. I don't want to chance this.
Yep. Why do you need an income allocation plan to retire, ladies and gentlemen? Well, because markets fluctuate. Generally, bills don't. They only go up, it seems.
Yeah.
Account balances can and do fall over time. The cost of living will certainly increase. Asset allocation has been proven to fail. In fact, Tim, I saw a pretty scary stat that if somebody retired January 1st of the year 2000, and followed the Wall Street model 4% rule for generating retirement income, that they had less than half of their starting balance after just 10 years of retirement. And when I heard that stat, I asked myself, like, at what point in my retirement am I going to be comfortable seeing half of my starting balance? It certainly isn't 10 years, but I'm not even sure if like 15, 20, 25 years into retirement, having half the money that I started with is ever going to make me feel confident to continue spending. I think that I would be decidedly unconfident if I saw that happen.
Right. And then add a spouse to that, right? Because the last thing you want to do is leave someone high and dry, and you guessed it wrong. So, I mean, think about this. People were going into retirement back in the day. They had a pension. They might even still have Social Security, and they were only going to last maybe 5 years, right? Well, that's doable. But nowadays, we have a whole different ball of wax here. As Tom Hegna, who we've had on the show many times, says, longevity risk is hands down the number one risk in retirement. And I don't think a lot of people understand that they got to make that dollar stretch, and you want to do it efficiently and smart against the taxes and all that.
And speaking of efficiency, Tim, right now, actually, a particularly good time to look at income allocation because it does allow you to leverage your dollars and produce a much higher income than what even Wall Street has sort of forecast and assumed for the last 30 years or more.
Right, exactly. With interest rates being at all-time highs in my career, the annuities that we're using are paying out better than I've ever seen. And with that comes, great income that will, guaranteed income that's going to provide for people. You could argue, oh, well, what if I get a CD and that type of thing? Well, CDs are going to fall back down, right? And they don't go out more than 5 years. So what are you going to do after 5 years in your retirement? You should be looking at annuities or something like that that's going to actually pay you a guaranteed income stream.
If you do not have a protect and grow written retirement income plan in writing, do you truly even have a plan for retirement? The retirement blueprint, ladies and gentlemen, bringing it all together. And that is what Tim Stearns, CFP, will help design and implement with you is your protect and grow written retirement income plan for lasting retirement confidence. Pick up the phone, give a call, no cost, no obligation. And you are welcome to share as much or as little information as you feel comfortable. Of course, the more and better information you provide, the better the plan is going to be. But Tim Stearns just wants to help you identify your goals, take a look at where you're at, and make sure that your timeline, your expectations are realistic and achievable with the plan that you've got in place. Or he will help you design that protect and grow written retirement income plan to help them be more likely to succeed and for you to achieve them. And that's what the planning review and strategy session are all about. Pick up the phone if you'd like to take advantage of that offer and opportunity. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Tim, I heard it, you put it very bluntly that we do essentially four things with our money. We pay bills, pay taxes, spend it, and save it. Yep. And once we do those first three things, pay bills, pay taxes, and spend, those dollars are gone to us forever. And on day one of retirement, it's only number four, what we have saved or invested, that gives us the ability to reproduce the ability to do the first three things.
Right. And you shared with me the other day the 4 pillars of income. Great article that talks about one of the things that you should be having done in your life is having your money work for you by earning something, passive income of some sort. And that speaks volumes, so become a saver out there, more so even in retirement, if you can, hold back some of the spending that's going to behoove you in the future. One of the phenomenons that we've seen with they call it the smiley face of retirement is that, we start out up top here, left-hand side, let's say, with a lot of spending because you're going on those trips that you never got to do. And then you start to kind of go slow in the middle, right? And spending. And then you start to come back up with spending. And what is that on? Usually medical expenses. Mm-hmm. So these are things that we help people work through. We're Medicare certified, Social Security certified. We can do all the things that need to get it done to have an ideal retirement because we've talked about this. You get one shot at it.
And Tim, you don't want to rely on hope or probability or luck. The income allocation, the protect and grow plan, this is based on math and science, and it is proven time and time again that it provides for not only a more lasting, confident income, but even longer lifetimes when you de-risk and de-stress the portfolio and therefore boost the retirement confidence. You actually have notable health benefits as a result. That seems like an odd statement, but stress kills, right?
Right. And, sleep well at night, the SWAN method, we call it, and that's one of the things is by having a plan, you're going to feel better about it. And here's the best news. Our plans are dynamic. Life comes at you pretty fast. So if things are changing in that we can help with that and make sure that people are understanding, this isn't a one-time thing. You're going to redo it and look at it. And what we do is review it yearly to see where are we, and sometimes people are spending too much or spending too little. The last thing you want to do is have a retirement that you didn't really enjoy for the sake of your kids, to leave a legacy. And I love leaving a legacy, but, you worked hard. So why not enjoy your retirement? I have a grandma Stearns back in the day, and she would only make one phone call a weekend because she was on this plan. So she passes away and she leaves over 25 grandkids money. And I couldn't believe it because I always thought she was poor. And it turned out she was such a saver that she left us all the money. That's not the way to go through life. And I bet you she would have done a lot better if she had a plan. And I
Yeah,
always think about that.
it is a mentality, right? If you
Absolutely.
if you start to see things tightening up, or if you don't have that plan in place, you may psychologically tighten up and not do some of the things that you otherwise could enjoy in life. And that's what the Protect and Grow Written Retirement Income Plan specifically is aimed to help you address, ladies and gentlemen, by using math and by using leverage and executing on that plan, but keeping it dynamic. And Tim, the thing I appreciate about you is every job is not that proverbial nail. You know, they say when the only tool you have is the hammer, that every
Right.
job looks like a nail. You've got access to all of the tools. So once you've helped somebody design and take care of that income plan and the basic income need, have addressed that. Now the question becomes, well, what do we do with all of the rest of our money? Sometimes people turn from the question of, do I have enough, to, okay, well, here's how we answer that. Here's how much it takes. And here's how much you have left over and above to do everything else that you envisioned.
Well, I like to think of us as a Swiss Army knife, and that's what you need in retirement, like we said earlier. You're going to need an accountant. We have that. You're going to need a state attorney. You're going to need that as well. And then you're going to need a certified financial planner, practitioner like myself. And what we do is we make sure that we got our buttons covered, so that when that whack-a-mole of something steps up, we're ready to knock it down and make sure that people feel better. One thing I'll say, when people are in retirement, they're a little uptight at first, but once they start to ease into it and they understand that we've got their back, it's a really seamless process.
And asset allocation alone by itself, Tim, does not answer or address some of these most important questions and the biggest risks that we will face into and throughout retirement.
Well, look at 2022, right? That the modern portfolio theory, which is usually a 60-40 split, it was the 60% in stocks, 40% in bonds, was the worst year for that ever. And that tells you a lot. So we need to move on from a quote unquote modern portfolio theory. Asset allocation doesn't work. If you don't understand that, understand this. Stocks and bonds fell down in 2000, 2001, 2002, 2008, 18, and 2022. That's 6 times in the last 24 years that we've left our money to happenstance. And what I'm saying is, why not get a plan and go against the grain and do something here where you have guarantees in place that if the market falls down, you're not that worried about it.
Again, the number to reach Tim Stearns, CFP, for that written Protect and Grow income plan, for the planning review, the retirement strategy session, for an analysis of your investments and retirement accounts, to take a look at Social Security optimization, tax minimization, the retirement tax bill calculator. Give a call. That's all part of the planning process. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. That tax bill calculator can be found online at nvpcfp.com. You can enter in your own information and it'll crunch the numbers and display kind of side by side the comparison if you continue to defer and default to the IRS's plan, or if you are proactive and manage that tax bill, what you could bring that bill down to. And the difference is staggering, ladies and gentlemen. It is often a fraction of the cost. Taxes are on sale today, but you've got to take action to take advantage. So see those numbers for yourself, mvpcfp.com, or give Tim Stearns, CFP, and TJ Stearns Inc. a call at 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, just a few reasons why income allocation makes sense to support retirement: because my bills are not a percentage of my portfolio, because my bills don't go down if the market does, because my bills don't go down if my portfolio value drops, because I don't want to wait to take the same risks in my life savings when I have no paycheck, right? I don't want to do that. I don't want to wait and take those same risks once I have left the paycheck behind. But maybe most importantly, longevity is a factor that multiplies all other risks. And if you don't have that plan in place, you are in fact multiplying many other risks over the course of retirement.
Right. And the last thing you want to do is realize that you are doing that to yourself. So get ahead of it, get a plan that you understand and that your spouse understands, and go through a very happy retirement instead of hoping that you're going to be okay. That's just not a way to go through life. I also want to add that if you're not understanding what we're talking about in this radio show, we're happy to get our book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, into your hands. I've been told by a lot of people that it really kind of dumbs it down, if you will, of how an income allocation plan works, the different factors that are out there that we're going to resolve for you, and then that seems to help. So the first 10 callers with over $500,000 in assets, we're happy to get that into your hands.
800-640-2256, the number to call to get a copy of the book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. And if you think of any of the sources of income, Tim, I know there are pros and cons. Number one, working for a paycheck. The pro is that you get the paycheck. The con is that you've got to work for it, right? So Once we stop working, we've got Social Security, pensions, interest, dividends, real estate, partnerships, investments, bond yields, dividend stocks, annuities. The list is very encompassing. But we have to have some guidance and some understanding of the benefits and drawbacks from each one of those options, because they're each going to have some strengths and weaknesses, correct?
That's right. So, make sure that you understand how you're going to get through it. And there'll be times that you're going to need to divert from where you're going. And that's why we make a dynamic income allocation plan that's going to move with you through this crazy, volatile world that we have right now.
All right. Well, a number of great opportunities on today's program. Number one, the online retirement tax bill calculator can be found at mvpcfp.com. That's where you can crunch your own numbers, mvpcfp.com. Number two, the written Protect and Grow retirement income plan and the retirement strategy session. Give a call, 800-640-2256 to take advantage of that no cost, no obligation opportunity. And then number three, the 10 copies of Tim Stern's book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. That's available to the first 10 callers with at least $500,000 saved. Give a call now, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, it is a fast-moving program. Always a pleasure. We appreciate the time and insight.
Thanks, Peter.
Tune into Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stern's full radio program and visit tjsterns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.